What if I told you that you are not in the driver's seat of your own mind? Seriously. Imagine for a second that your conscious self, the you that's listening to my voice right now, thinking about your day, feeling a little curious, is just a passenger. And in the driver's seat, there's a mysterious someone or something with its hands on the wheel, its foot on the gas, deciding every turn you make. It decides what you see, what you remember, what you feel, and most importantly, what you don't. This driver is your unconscious mind. Now, what if there was a way to talk to that driver? A way to whisper a suggestion past the passenger and have the driver just do it? Make you forget your own name. Make your arm feel light as a feather. Convince you that a raw onion tastes like a sweet, juicy apple. This isn't science fiction. It's the world of hypnosis. And for centuries, we've had it all wrong. We've seen it as a silly stage trick or some kind of creepy mind control. But the truth is so much bigger than that. It's a secret window into the hidden operating system of your own brain. Welcome back to Summary Thought, the channel where we pull back the curtain on the world's most mind-blowing ideas. Today, we're diving headfirst into a stunning paper by Gavriel Naufo called Exploring the Role of Conscious and Unconscious Processes in Hypnosis. Think of it as a treasure map leading us straight to the heart of the biggest mystery there is: you. Here's the plan for our adventure. First, we'll time travel back to the wild and wacky origins of hypnosis, a world of invisible space goo and magnetic magic. Then, we'll step into the office of the most famous mind detective of all time, Sigmund Freud, and see how he used hypnosis as his first skeleton key to unlock the mind's secret basement. After that, we're going to ask a truly spooky question. Is there a silent ghost in the machine, a hidden observer inside you, watching your every move, even when you're hypnotized? Then, for a massive plot twist, we'll explore the shocking theory that hypnosis isn't a trance at all, but maybe just an elaborate act we're all playing along with. And finally, we'll put all the puzzle pieces together to reveal the paper's ultimate, game-changing idea: the unconscious as the all-powerful gatekeeper of your reality, and ask whether we really are even able to decide for ourselves. This is going to challenge everything you thought you knew about free will, consciousness, and who you really are. So buckle up, because the ride is about to begin, and trust me, you won't want to skip a single second. Part 1. Wizard's Goo and the first glimpse of the unconscious. Okay, let's start at the beginning, which is way weirder than you think. Picture Paris in the 1700s. No electricity, just candlelight and a whole lot of strange ideas. The rock star of the day was a German doctor named Franz Mesmer. Mesmer had this wild theory he called animal magnetism. He believed the universe was filled with an invisible, magical fluid, a kind of cosmic goo that flowed through everything, including us. If your goo was flowing smoothly, you were healthy. If it got blocked, you were sick. Mesmer claimed he was a master of the goo. He'd hold these crazy sessions where he'd wave magnets and his hands over people, and they'd go into these wild fits before being cured. It was pure theater, but it accidentally stumbled upon something huge. One person could influence another into a strange, altered state. But then one of his students, a guy named Peisker, thought, hang on, maybe it's not about the goo. He noticed he could guide people into a calm, sleep-like state, and in that state, they would listen to his every word. But when they woke up, they remembered nothing.
Poof. Gone.
This was the light bulb moment. Peisker realized the power wasn't in some magical fluid. The power was in accessing a hidden part of the person's own mind. A second consciousness. A part that could listen and act without the normal you, even knowing it was happening. He had just discovered the first door to the unconscious. Part 2. Dr. Freud's Secret Basement. Now, let's jump forward to the late 1800s and meet the legend himself, Sigmund Freud. Before he was talking about dreams and daddy issues, Freud was obsessed with hypnosis. He saw it as the ultimate detective tool. He believed that all our anxieties and weird behaviors came from painful memories and forbidden desires that we had locked away in the secret basement of our minds, the unconscious. We don't want to know what's down there, so we bolt the door shut. Freud thought hypnosis was like a key to that basement door. He could use it to bypass the conscious mind's security guard and get his patients to talk about the stuff they had hidden away. This led him to a revolutionary idea. The unconscious is an active, powerful force that's constantly trying to break out and mess with our lives. And here's the crucial part. Something has to be deciding what stays locked in the basement and what's allowed to come upstairs into the living room of consciousness. The paper calls this the gatekeeper, and Freud was the first to really see it in action. Ironically, Freud eventually ditched hypnosis. He felt it was like picking the lock. You get in, but you don't learn anything about the lock itself. He invented his famous free association method, getting people to lie on a couch and just say whatever popped into their heads. He found that by relaxing the mind's security guard this way, the secrets from the basement would eventually start to slip out on their own. But he never forgot what hypnosis first showed him, that you are not the only one living in your own house. Part 3, The Ghost in Your Machine. Are there two of you? This is where things get really weird, so stay with me. A researcher named Ernest Hilgard performed an experiment that will send a shiver down your spine. Imagine you're hypnotized. Hilgard tells you that your arm will feel absolutely no pain. Then, he has you stick your arm into a bucket of freezing, painful ice water. You sit there, smiling, and when he asks what you feel, you say, "Nothing at all. I'm perfectly comfortable." But Hilgard suspects something else is going on. So he says, "Okay, but if there is some hidden part of you that can feel the pain, let your other hand signal to me." And to the person's complete shock, their other hand, as if it had a mind of its own, picks up a pencil and writes a shocking message. Pain. It hurts. The person was silent because it was blocked from using the person's voice. Hilgard gave it permission and a method, using the other hand, to communicate. What in the world is going on here? Hilgard's theory was mind-blowing. He said that during hypnosis, your consciousness can actually split in two. One part of you is listening to the hypnotist, happily feeling no pain. But another part, a silent, hidden observer, is standing in the back of your mind, fully aware of reality, just watching the show. This hidden observer is the real you, trapped behind a one-way mirror, seeing everything but unable to take control. This idea, called dissociation, suggests you might not be a single I. You might be a we. And if that's true, then some incredibly powerful gatekeeper must be at work, building a wall right down the middle of your consciousness to keep these two selves from ever meeting. So, is there a permanent wall keeping these two selves apart forever? It's less like a wall and more like a high-tech border crossing with a very smart guard, our gatekeeper. And during your normal, everyday life, that guard is incredibly strict. It has to be to keep the raw, chaotic world of the unconscious from flooding your conscious mind so you can actually focus and get things done. But in certain special states, the rules of that border change completely. Think about when you're just about to fall asleep, or when you're deep in a dream, or, you guessed it, during hypnosis. In these moments, the gatekeeper loosens its grip. It opens the gate just a crack, and for a little while, information can flow from the unconscious hidden side to the conscious side. This meeting is where a sudden creative idea might pop into your head. It's where a gut feeling about a person comes from. And it's the exact channel that a hypnotist uses. A hypnotic suggestion isn't breaking down the wall with a sledgehammer. It's like a VIP pass that the gatekeeper has been told to accept, allowing a specific idea to walk right across that border and become part of your conscious reality. So we have this wild idea of a hidden part of you watching everything. But what if it's less about your mind splitting in two, and more about you just changing the way you control things? This brings us to a super cool idea called cold control theory. Think about the first time you ever tried to drive a car. Your brain was on fire, right? That's hot control. You're micromanaging every tiny detail. Check the mirror. Hands at 10 and 2. How fast am I going? Don't hit that curb. It's stressful, it's clumsy, and you are aware of every single thing you're doing. But now, if you've been driving for years, you just drive. You get to your destination and barely remember the trip. You were still in control, but it was effortless, automatic, and smooth. That's cold control. It's the expert mode your brain uses when you stop overthinking and just let things happen. Cold control theory says that hypnosis is the ultimate hack to switch your brain from hot to cold on demand. The hypnotist's job is to talk you out of that panicky, micromanaging student driver brain and into the calm, cool, expert driver brain. You don't lose consciousness, you just stop trying so hard. You intentionally let go of the steering wheel of conscious effort, and you allow the hypnotist's suggestions to become your intentions, which your brain then carries out automatically. This is why it feels like your arm is floating, all by itself. You gave the command to your brain by accepting the suggestion, but you skipped the entire hot control step of consciously making it happen. Part 4, Plot Twist. What if it's all just a big social game? Okay, we've explored cosmic goo, secret basements, and ghosts in the machine. But now, get ready for the biggest twist yet. A psychologist named Nicholas Spanos came along and said, "Hold on, everybody. What if hypnosis isn't a special state at all? What if there's no trance, no split mind, no hidden observer? What if it's all just an act?" Now, before you get defensive, he didn't mean people are faking it. It's much cleverer than that. Spanos' idea, the sociocognitive theory, is that we are all just really, really good actors who desperately want to play our parts correctly.
Think about it.
We've all seen hypnosis in movies and on TV. We have a powerful, unconscious script in our heads for how a hypnotized person behaves. When a hypnotist starts talking to us in a calm voice, we tap into that script. We are highly motivated to be a good subject. We focus our imagination, we concentrate our will, and we actively create the experience of our arm floating or an onion tasting like an apple. It's not a passive trance. It's an act of intense, willful imagination to fulfill a social role. You feel like you're not in control because you've attributed all the power to the hypnotist. He's the star of the show, the most obvious cause for the weird things that are happening. So your brain says, he must be doing this to me, which makes it even easier to keep playing the part. In this view, the gatekeeper isn't a mystical force. It's more like a social director, making sure your behavior matches the expectations of the situation. It's a radical idea, and it forces us to ask, how much of our lives are we just playing a role we didn't even know we were cast in? Part 5, The Ultimate Secret. The gatekeeper runs the show. So, what's the real answer? Is it a split mind? Is it a social act? Is it a key to a secret basement? Here is the beautiful, brilliant conclusion of Gavriel Naffo's paper. It's all of them, and none of them. The one idea that connects everything, the master key that unlocks the whole mystery, is the role of the unconscious as the ultimate gatekeeper. Think of your consciousness as an exclusive VIP nightclub. The conscious you is the guest on the dance floor, having a good time. But the real power lies with the bouncer at the front door, the gatekeeper. This bouncer is your unconscious, and it decides everything.
In
Freud's world, the bouncer has a list of traumatic memories and decides they're not allowed in the club tonight. In Hilgard's world of the hidden observer, the bouncer puts a velvet rope right down the middle of the dance floor, creating two separate parties that can't interact. In the social act theory, the bouncer is just enforcing the club's dress code, the social rules, making sure you act the part so you don't get kicked out. In the cold control theory we touched on, hypnosis is you walking up to the bouncer and saying, "Hey man, I'm going to chill out for a bit. My friend, the hypnotist, is going to be running the guest list for the next hour." You're consciously handing over the keys. This gatekeeper is always there, always working, filtering your reality second by second. It actively shapes what you're allowed to experience. Hypnosis is simply a unique and powerful way to communicate with that bouncer at the door, to politely ask it to change the rules for a little while. It shows us that the line between our conscious and unconscious selves is not a wall, but a constantly shifting veil. So after all this talk of hidden observers, social scripts, and an all-powerful gatekeeper, you might be tempted to think that your conscious mind can at least influence these hidden processes. But what if even that is an illusion? What if the most profound and unsettling secret of all is that the conscious you is the very last one to know what's going on? What if the gatekeeper isn't just the bouncer at the door of your mind? What if it's the silent owner, and you're just the host who thinks they run the place?
Think about it.
Every gut feeling you've ever had, every sudden creative idea that seemed to come from nowhere, every time you've made a snap decision that just felt right. Was that really you deciding? Or was that the gatekeeper making its move, and your conscious mind, your inner storyteller, scrambling seconds later to invent a plausible reason why you made that choice? Some neuroscientists believe this is exactly how it works. That your conscious mind doesn't make decisions at all. Its job is to be the press secretary, creating a believable story that says, "I'm in charge" for a decision the silent owner already made in the back room. The feeling of free will, then, is just the story you tell yourself after the fact. And that is the kind of profound, unsettling idea we love to explore here. You have been listening to Summary Thought. If your mind is as blown as mine is right now, and if this has given you a whole new way to think about your own consciousness, smash that like button to let the YouTube gatekeeper know we're onto something good. Comment and hit the bell so you never miss one of our adventures into the world of big ideas. And please, share this video with one person who you think would be fascinated to learn about the secret driver in their own mind. Thank you for being part of the Summary Thought crew. Until next time, stay curious.